धर्माणि प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So welcome, we are studying Canto 7, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 4, entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. I think we finished up to text 39. Text 39. So let's do 38, 39 and then continue. Asina paryatan ashtan shayana prapiban bhruvan Nanusandhatta etani Govinda parirambhitaha. Prahlad Maharaj was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. Srila Prabhupada was a classic example of this activity or this verse. Srila Prabhupada was always focused, so always absorbed, whether he was in the flight, whether he was on a morning walk, whether he was giving class, whether in the evening he was meeting guests, he was meeting ministers, politicians, whether he was building temples, initiating, in the middle of the night, translating, transcribing, word for word into the dictaphone, the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even when Srila Prabhupada would walk around in his room with his bead bag, even honoring prasadam, always absorbed, always absorbed. One time Srila Prabhupada told one of his disciples, um, when I was growing up back in Calcutta, and Srila Prabhupada spoke about his childhood, he spoke about how they would wake up to the ring, the bell that his father Gaur Mohan Dev would ring for the Arati of Radha and Krishna. He mentioned how his sister and him both would fly kites on the top of the terrace. And then when one kite would go above the other, and to defeat that previous kite, they would pray to Krishna, please help me now. I want to, I want to win and cut this kite. And also cross the street holding hands as brother and sister going to the temple of Radha Govinda. And also right from childhood, being completely absorbed. Srila Prabhupada spoke about how he was eager to build the Rath, the Jagannath Rath, as early as 5 years old and go from home to home telling the Matajis, can you cook for the Rath Yatra? Can you send your son for this event? Can you make kachoris? Can you make samosas? And telling everyone to do kirtan. It is described that during that time, there was a epidemic in Calcutta. And there was a sadhu amidst all of the different remedies that people were trying, medicines and even keeping distance, etc. They were trying so much to keep away the contagious disease. Amidst all of this, there used to be one sadhu in Calcutta who would go from street to street doing Harinam Sankirtan, announcing that it is only Krishna's name, Kirtan of Krishna's name, which can ultimately destroy all the ill effects. And it's described at that time, Srila Prabhupada would run between the legs of so many tall individuals. Prabhupada was a little boy, 3, 4 year old boy, and he was young and short as a child, and he would run between people, between the legs of different devotees, and go to the window. He was so attracted by the chanting of Krishna's names, and he would raise his hands looking outside the window as the kirtan would go on. Also, it's described that, and this is also there in the Leelamrit, that one time as Srila Prabhupada was a child, he went to one of his relatives' home and he found a nice big tulsi plant. And Srila Prabhupada spent hours there sitting next to the tulsi as if a sadhu would sit in contemplative meditation. A pure Vaishnav right from childhood. Prabhupada mentioned all this to his disciple in a room conversation, and he said, "What I'm doing now, I was always doing it right from my childhood. You understand?" And Prabhupada so humbly and honestly said, "Never was there a time when I forgot Krishna. Never was there a time when I forgot Krishna." So this is a pure Vaishnav. They are like the women in the villages. You see, they collect water from the Jamuna, or they collect water, fill their pots with the water from the river, and they carry pot after pot after pot on top of their head. And at the same time, they're walking with other Matajis, and they're also talking and they're looking around. But throughout, their focus is always on the pot, which is full of water. A pure Vaishnava is like this. So many twists and turns in life will come. They will look around, they will walk, they will talk. But the focus on Krishna Bhakti is never lost. Just like a woman in the village never loses focus on the water in the pot. Here it's described. Prahlad was always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Whether it was sitting, walking, eating, laying down, drinking, talking, they were automatically being performed. That's like a woman in the village who's talking, walking, glancing. But the focus is always so that not one drop of water falls from the pots. Not one pot, but pot over a pot over a pot on the head. They don't have taps in the at home, so you have to go and collect water from the river for all purposes. So in this way, one must be absorbed. खाइते छुईते जथा तथा नाम लो देश काल नियम nahi sarva siddhi hoy. Whether one is eating or drinking, खाइते छुईते, or sleeping, jatha tatha, in whatever circumstance of time and place, one must continue to chant and remember Krishna. Continue to chant. There are devotees I have seen, very inspiring. When they are in the kitchen, they don't talk. Temple kitchen. When they are in the temple kitchen, they don't talk. They are cutting vegetables and they're having earphones if there's nobody around. Because it's a little rude when devotees are around and you put your earphones. That's like saying, I don't want to talk to you. Don't disturb me. So that's not ideal. But if you're by yourself, you can have your earplugs on and you're cutting vegetables and you're hearing Harikatha. There are devotees I have seen, they don't have earphones, but they play the class in the speaker, right? Or they'll play a little kirtan in the speaker. If that's not possible, let's say there are different devotees, they are talking in the kitchen. So now if you play a loud kirtan or katha, that kind of drowns what they are speaking. So that's also not proper etiquette. In such circumstance, I have seen devotees, they're chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Very softly, very gently, but very devotional. They're cutting vegetables and chanting. They're washing dishes and pots and they're chanting. I have even seen devotees on the altar. They are picking flowers from the deities, or they are decorating the turban of Krishna. They're putting ornaments. They're tying the waistcloth and continuously chanting in a very devotional mood. So this is how we should be. Whatever may be the circumstance that the body has to go through. In fact, Sripad Prabodhananda Saraswati has said that a Vaishnav should consider others to be like his children. All moving and non-moving people around, living beings, moving and non-moving, which means trees, insects, birds, animals, human beings, younger, non-devotees, whoever it may be. One should consider that suputriyate. One should consider that person to be sthira and charam, whether they're sthiram or charam, whether they're moving or non-moving, suputriyate. One should consider them with so much affection, like one's own children. But at the same time, one should consider one's own mind as a stranger. One should consider one's mind as a stranger. So in such circumstances, irrespective of what's happening, if the mind will push us out of the domain of material, of spiritual focus, because it's a stranger. If somebody's outside our door and we don't know them, we generally don't open the door. And even if you open the door, you'll see the door is open, but the gate is there. In India, you have like this protective gate. We don't somehow have that in America, at least in the apartments, we don't have it. In India, it's you have the gate and then you have a door. So you open the door, but you still don't open the gate because you don't know who that person is. You don't know with what purpose they have come. So we must, every impulse that the mind gives in, we have to see as if it's a stranger. And while doing other activities, the mind will try to deviate us, but the name on the tongue, or hearing Hari Katha, remembering Krishna, and performing activities. This is what we learn from Prahlad Maharaj. Another example can be given is that of a child. A little child who's in the hand of the mother goes through everything, goes through security check, immigration check, baggage claim, goes through traffic. The child doesn't have to check in bags. The child doesn't have to pack. The child doesn't have to weigh the carry-on or the check-in bag, whether this is 7 kilos or 23 kilos or 50 pounds or whatever the baggage criteria are. The child doesn't have to print baggage tag. The child doesn't have to go stand like this, do like this, do like this, do all that in the airport. Have you seen you go through all of these different X-ray machines? The child doesn't have to do any of that. Always in the hand of the mother, and safely from home goes to the plane, the airplane, and lands and goes home. Why? Because one thing is for sure, all the other things are happening. The mother is taking care, but the child doesn't leave the mother's hand. That is one thing the child does. The child does the duty that I won't leave you, and the mother does the duty that I will take care of you. Now, when the person becomes a little older, he or she want to travel alone. They don't want their parents. The parents will be at home. They want to travel. They're in their teens. They want to travel on their own. So now they have to do everything. They have to print baggage tag. They have to check in their bags. They have to go through security. They have to go through whatever, immigration. They have to collect the bag when you land from the flight. They have to go through all of this. Why? Because they're disconnected from their parents. They're going by themselves. So to the extent one is disconnected in thoughts of Radha and Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to that extent we will face traffic in this world. But to the extent we are holding them in our mind, on our tongue, we are constantly remembering. Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has written, Iyam rasajna tava nama kirtane, shrotro mano me shravane nuchintane, netre chate rupa nirikshane sada, shirostu chaitanya padabhivandane. This is the Gaur Leela equivalent of Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo. Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, Iyam rasajna, my dear Lord, this tongue of mine, tava nama kirtane. May my tongue constantly chant your names, O Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Shrotra, may my ears and my mind be absorbed as follows. Shrotra manome shravane anuchintane. May my ears hear about you, and may my mind anuchintane, remember you continuously. And netre, my two eyes, netram netre netrani, my netre, my two eyes, te rupa nirikshane sada. May it constantly glance at your form, DT form. So through the ears hearing about Krishna, through the eyes glancing at the deity, through the mind remembering, and through the tongue chanting, and Shirostu, and may my head, Shirostu Chaitanya Padabi Vandane. May my head bow down to your lotus feet, O Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, to be absorbed. Prahlad Maharaj, here it is described that Govinda Parirambhitaha, like the little baby in the mother's hand, the baby's only duty is to hold the mother. And the mother takes care of everything. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. The Lord maintains, the Lord gives whatever is necessary. Whatever is there, He preserves. What is lacking, He gives. Krishna maintains. Krishna maintains. Just like dukkha comes on its own accord, sukha also comes on its own accord from past life. Sukha and dukkha both come. One after another, duality will keep coming, but you have to keep remembering Krishna. Just like when you drive, sometimes the speed limit changes. You go from, let's say if it's a small lane, you go from whatever, 25 miles per hour, then you go to a mid-range of 35, then 45, then you hit the highway at 55, then sometimes 65, and sometimes you hit the highway at 70 miles per hour. Lanes keep changing, sometimes right, sometimes left. The traffic rules are there. Sometimes you'll see that the lane ends and you have to merge into the main lane when you drive. So throughout, as these things keep changing, the traffic, sometimes the lights go from orange to red, and sometimes it comes to green. Sometimes the left is given green so you can drive. Sometimes the right is at red so you can't. Sometimes you have to take a right. Sometimes you have to take a U-turn. So many things keep happening, but you don't leave the driver's seat. You continue to have your seat buckled. You continue to have your hands on the steering, and you're focusing. You're focusing. You're constantly reading the speed limit. You're doing so many things, right? You're constantly reading the speed limit so that you don't cross over speed. When you change lanes, you're looking the cars don't zip behind you at great speed, because without seeing the side mirrors or the rear mirror, you take a turn, then we can get into an accident. So you're seeing so many things. You have to keep proper distance between your car and the previous car. And at the same time, sometimes calls are coming in, so through Bluetooth you're speaking in the car, and sometimes there's somebody sitting behind you in the same car. They're asking you a question or they're saying something and you're responding, and sometimes you're also drinking a little water. All of this is happening, but still the lane is properly maintained. You're not driving in the next lane. You're driving like a donut with proper distance on both sides. The car is moving properly, right? So many things happening, but without accident, an expert driver continues to drive. This is how we should be in life. Details of circumstance will change. We may go from school to college. We may go from college to work. We may change work. We may have a different work profile. We may work two jobs, or sometimes it'll be a Sunday. Sometimes it'll be many meetings in a day, or sometimes you have to go out to shop, and sometimes you have to help at home, or there's a festival in the temple. Details of life. Nothing is steady. Things will keep changing. But just like the lady in the village holds her attention on the water in the pot, just like the baby in the hands of the mother, so many details are changing. He or she, the baby, holds on to the mother's hand. Similarly, whatever may be the case, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Continue to fight the battle of life. But remember Krishna. This is what we understand from text 38. Govinda parirambitaha. Prahlad Maharaj never forgot Krishna. Never forgot Krishna. Greatest gain in life is remembering Krishna. Greatest loss in life is forgetfulness of Krishna. One time, one devotee was talking to another devotee, that the other devotee was saying, Prabhu, this is not right, that is not right. He is doing like this is not fair. One should be doing like this is unethical. Money accountability is not there, etc., etc. So the next devotee was answering the question. He said, greater loss, greater flaw than this is to forget Krishna and count the faults around you. When time is limited, mind is given, you have the ability to think and absorb. Why are you collecting stones when you can collect gold coins? Only because we have forgotten Krishna are we able to see these things happening, and we are focusing on the faults of others, right? So greatest loss is not the person making mistake outside, is we forgetting Krishna and counting those things outside. That is a bigger loss. Sometimes finding the fault may be a bigger fault than the fault itself. That doesn't mean we have to be blind to things around us. That's a different discussion. We should be intelligent and we should have the power to discriminate. But most times, things are not that severe. They are pretty trivial. And we lose our focus. Remembering Krishna, we forget that to count what's happening outside. So Prahlad Maharaj was very focused, and that is something that we should really learn. Um, one good thing that we can do is see how we are utilizing time. We can keep a sadhana chart, or we can have an accountability book where we see what time we wake up, what time we go to sleep, and how do we use our time. How do we use our time? In that book, every 4 hours, you can write a little note how the last 4 hours were spent. Many times we realize, how did my day go? I really don't know how time flew past. No, time doesn't fly past. We waste it without being focused. So every 4 hours, we can write a little note. Okay, last 4 hours, how did I use my time? Just like a person, you can see typically those who are a little older, parents or grandparents, even for 10 rupees, 12 rupees, they'll have an account. They'll have a little book. We may have seen, right? One generation before. The present generation, we may not know about this, but at least a generation or two before, they used to, even if they write, even if they buy a Bisleri bottle, they'll write 10 rupees. They'll keep an account. And we may now feel, well, what's the need to do that? Now, it's very important. Keeping track of money, keeping track of time, keeping track of the resources. How are we using our mental focus? And it's alarming when you just check this screen time on the phone on a daily basis. Sometimes, for some, it's 10 hours. Can you imagine? 10 hours? That's like chanting 80 rounds or more. It's quite interesting how mental focus and time and resources are wasted. So Prahlad Maharaj is teaching us that at all times, Tameva Sharanam Gacha. Remember Krishna. Text 39. Kvachid rudati vaikuntha chinta shabala chetana. Kvachid hasati tat chinta lada udgayati kvachid. Sometimes Prahlad Maharaj rudati, he would cry. He would feel separation from Krishna and he would cry. And Vaikunta Chinta Shabala Chetana, and his mind would feel anxious. Now, this is not the anxiety or the panic attack that we may feel just before exams or bewilderment and confusion in life. This is Divya Unmad. This is transcendental madness. Prahlad Maharaj would cry in separation from Krishna. Where is my Krishna? Why I can't see Krishna? Why I am not able to see Krishna? My dear Lord, please appear before me. He would cry. He would really cry. Till the time we have other desires in this material world, it's very difficult to get God. Very, very difficult. To attain Him is very difficult. Anya abhilashita shunyam. The greatest desire in our heart, the biggest balloon in our heart, that should be attaining Krishna. Everything else can be secondary. Of course, as students, as working professionals, you will have short term goals. I need to pass this exam. I need to get graduated. I need to get this job. I need to draw a salary of whatever 5 years from now. I want to pay off the loan or the debt that my father has given me, or I have taken an education loan which I have to pay off. These are very important things. But even if all of this is there, if we haven't attained Krishna, we haven't attained the aim of this human life successfully. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. The actual swarth, the actual goal of our life. The paramam gatim. Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriya, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva param Tapa, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. Vasudeva paragati. Vasudeva, Krishna is our goal. Krishna is our yajna. Krishna is the source of all our activities. Everything. We have to do it for Him, and attaining Him is the goal of our life. So imagine when the goal of our life is Krishna, only attaining Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and that one thing which we are living and dying for, we don't attain. Everything else we're getting except that. A person feels very humble. A person feels like weeping. The person feels helpless. The person feels agitated that this is what I want, and Krishna, you're not appearing before me. Tum so kaha छिपे करुणामयी सब जीव अंतर्यामी. Surdas ji has written in one song that, my dear Lord, those who claim to be mine in this world, they're actually not mine. They leave me. And that Lord who actually belongs to me, He is not coming to me. Where will I go? Where will I go? Those whom I live with, they will leave me in a few years, whether mother or father or brother or sister or son or daughter or husband, wife, grandfather, grandmother, grandson, granddaughter. Either with time, they all separate. With places, somebody goes to Bangalore, somebody lives in Ahmedabad, somebody goes to wherever, to Bhubaneswar. We separate with place, or through death. Material nature takes us apart. So those we live with, they don't belong to us ultimately. And we belong to Krishna, and Krishna is not appearing before us. So this at a very exalted state creates one, makes one feel extremely destitute, extremely frustrated in spiritual love, not in depression, not in anxiety and confusion of this world. There is supreme joy in remembering Krishna. But in not attaining him, one feels so much pain. Visha Amrita Ekatra Milan. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes this is the meeting of extreme nectar and extreme poison. Extreme nectar and extreme poison. And in such circumstance, what is sukha becomes dukkha. And what is dukkha becomes sukha. Now, for example, this is called the state of rag. Rupa Goswami has defined rag, very exalted state of love, Krishna Prem, where sukham, joy, becomes dukkha, and dukkha becomes sukha. For example, for a chaste, cultured, traditional, married woman, what is sukha? Her home is sukha. Living by the codes of dharma is sukha. And what is dukkha? Living in the forest is dukkha. Breaking dharma is dukkha. Um, being socially banned and looked down upon is dukkha. But the gopis of Vrindavan are at such exalted state that what is sukha for a traditional cultured woman becomes dukkha for them. To be at home and to perform their dharmic duties becomes the most painful. And to run, break dharma, break shackles of family life, and yama bhajan durjara geha shrinkalam, and run deep into the forest in the middle of the night, which traditional sati, pativrata nari cannot even imagine. It is dukkha for them. For the gopis, that is the greatest dukkha, greatest sukha. And the sukha of being at home becomes the greatest dukkha. This is the greatest level of love. The gopis of Vrindavan are so exalted. They can do something that no other Krishna Bhakta can. No friend of Krishna can. And even parents of Krishna don't display that love. Where, for the sake of loving Krishna, one's image gets tarnished for all times to come. Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he doesn't go through ill fame for befriending Krishna. Or in Brindavan, Madhumangal or Mandali Bhadra or Krishna's friends, Ujjwal, Stoka Krishna, they don't go through social defaming for loving Krishna. Nanda and Yashoda don't have to give up their home and cows and calves and be socially misunderstood. It's been 5,000 years, the gopis are still going through social blemish. But the gopis of Vrindavan did something that no Lakshmi of Vaikuntha, no queen of Dwaraka, no Mathura Ramani ever offered Krishna. Sudama came to Dwaraka, his fame increased by befriending Krishna, right? Arjuna, for being the instrument for the manifestation of Bhagavad Gita, his fame increased. Gandiv Dhari Sri Arjun heard the Bhagavad Gita, so he's glorified. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. He's there in the same line as Bhagavan Shri Krishna of Bhagavad Gita. But the gopis of Vrindavan are misunderstood. They have to go through so many shackles. They have to break the shackle of family life. They have to break the shackle of social boundaries. They have to break the shackle of culture and scriptural tradition. So therefore, they are the greatest devotees. The greatest sacrifice, greatest pain, greatest gain. So Prahlad Maharaj Kwachit Rudhati Vaikuntha Chinta Shabala Chetana. Prahlad Maharaj used to feel anxious. The home, which is so wonderful. He's sitting on a royal throne. He has nice silken robes. He has good food to eat. He's the son of the king. He has security guards. His fame will spread all over the three worlds just by aligning to Maharaj Hiranyakashipu. But that sukha of that home is the greatest dukkha for him. And going against one's father, going against one's tradition, and worshipping one's enemy is dukkha for a kshatriya. A kshatriya never aligns to the enemy camp. They will align to their tradition, their guru, Chanda and Amarka and Shukracharya, etc. But to go and become servant of the enemy camp, Vishnu, who's considered to be enemy for Hiranyakashipu, is dukkha for a kshatriya. Death is better than dishonor. But that is the greatest sukha for Prahlad Maharaj. That is the level of his love. So this is why he's weeping. Kochit rudhati vaikunta chinta shavala chetana. Remembering Sri Hari, hey Prabhu, aap darshan kyun nahi dete? Hey Krishna, why don't you appear before me? Look, I am calling out to you with all my heart. Why will you appear before me? I know I'm not a great devotee. I know I'm not a Brahmana. I know I'm not a Devata. I don't have proper samskar. I don't have proper lineage. I am a little boy. I have not studied Shastra. I don't know anything. I know why you may not come before me. You have all the reasons not to come. But please appear, because with all my heart, my dear Lord, I love you. I want to see you. I want to hear you, your words. I want to embrace you with all my heart. And when Sri Hari still doesn't appear, Rudhati, he's weeping, weeping, weeping. Tasam Avirbhut Shori, Krishna appeared. But before that, Iti Gopya Pragayanta Pralapantyascha Chitradha Rurudhu Suswaram Rajan Krishna Darshana Lalasa. Krishna Darshana Lalasa. The desire to see Sri Krishna and genuinely perform bhajan and with all one's heart only want darshan of Sri Hari and serve him and nothing else in this world. That is the qualification for the Lord to appear. Prahlad Maharaj had this mood and the Lord appeared. Dhruva Maharaj had this mood and the Lord appeared. Sri Bilvamangal Thakur did not have material eyes, but he cried, Marakatamani Neelam Balamalokayennu, my dear Lord, when will you appear? Ha ha katanu bhavitasi padam drishorme, my dear Lord, when will you appear before me? And Sri Hari appeared. Sri Krishna appeared to Sri Bilvamangal Thakur, held him by the hand. Bilvamangal Thakur had fallen into a ditch, a pit on his way to Vrindavan. He had no vision, so he was just hearing from people on the way and walking, and he fell into a ditch closer to Vrindavan, and he was crying. 2, 3 days he was fallen in that ditch without a drop of water. And he was crying, Krishna, please help me. And Krishna was the one, as a little boy, held his hand, picked him up, pulled him out of that pit, and walked him to Vrindavan, and then left his hand. And Bilva Mangal Thakur said, I will not consider you, Bhagwan, as the strongest if you are holding the hand of an old man as a young boy and then leaving him. What great strength is there in that? If you leave the hand of an old man who's blind and you're young and you can run, what great strength is there in that? If you really want to prove that you're Bhagavan and you're all powerful, instead of leaving my hand, try leaving my heart. And I bet you cannot. Karagrahe vasasadaridaya madiye mat bhakti pasha iha bandhana nischalasan. Hey Krishna, I have bound you in the jail of my heart and you cannot leave. Damodar Leela was performed to you for one day by Mother Yashoda. But millions of devotees have performed Damodar Leela in their hearts for all times to come. Mother Yashoda is the root of that in Vatsalyarati. She has bound Krishna in her heart forever. And externally, she manifested it for one day. And following her footsteps in Vatsalyarati, Shri Yashoda Rani, in Madhuri Rati, Shri Radharani, devotees have followed their footsteps and bound Krishna Damodar in their heart. So Bilvamangal Thakur wept and Krishna appeared. Madhavendra Puri wept and Krishna appeared. So Krishna is our strength and we are his weakness. So when Vaishnavas, they weep for Krishna, Gajendra called out Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste with tears. Ashrupata, Nindantam Pulakotkarena Vikasan Nipa Prasuna Chavin. Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wept so much. Ashpash loke shakala bhijaye. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that when Mahaprabhu Jalajantra Shama, when he wept, it was like a pitchkari. His eyes had become like a water syringe. Mahaprabhu, in mood of Radharani, would cry, tears dripping, 5 streams of tears wetting his cheek. There were permanent lines on his cheek because of tears. And like a pitchkari, tears would go all over. And people all around, Ashpash Loka, they were all drenched by the tears of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Radharani weeping for Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So without Kwachit Rudati, Vaikunta Chinta, Shabala Chaitana, without having that anxiety that my human form is going, Vidyara Gaurave, Brahmi Deshe Deshe, Dhana Upajana Kori, Na Bhajiya Tore Dina Britha Gelo, Bhulino Tumare Hari. Hey Hari, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, I have wasted my life. Bardhoke ekona upaya bihina. Old age has come to me, my dear Lord, and I have wasted my life. In my youth, just to collect some money, on the pride of my learning, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, on the pride of my learning, just to collect some money, I went from place to place. I studied, I got jobs, I made money, But in this process, my dear Lord, I forgot you. Bhulino, I forgot you, Hey Hari. And now, Bardhake Ekhon, I am all alone in my old age, Upaya Bihin, now I cannot reverse time. Gopinath, Mama Nivedana Shuno. Bishai Durjon, Shada Kame Rato Kichu Nahi Moro Gun. Gopinath, please listen to me. Amaro Barosha Tumi, you please shower your mercy on me. Kichu Nahi More Gun. Please listen to me, my dear Gopinath. Please listen to me. Bishai Durjan, I have wasted my life. Sada Kame Rata, I have been absorbed in sense gratification and duties of this world. Kichu nahi more gun. I have not developed any Vaishnav qualities. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who gave birth to Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, he is crying and weeping like this. Bhakati Vinod Kandiya Kandiya. Karuna na hoibe Kandiya Kandiya Pranan Rakhibo ar. O Gurudev, O Guru Parampara, O Shri Krishna, if you don't shower mercy on me and give me darshan, what else can I do? What else can I do apart from weep and call out to you? So it's a very exalted mood, but we have to get there someday. Without shedding tears, in genuine affection, Krishna has never given darshan to anybody. So this is very important. Of course, we cannot fake it, but we can think about it. Because just like we sing in the Shikshashtakam, Yugaitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Prabhrishaitam Shunyaitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahename. We may not be at that level. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is at that level where he says that my eyes have become like clouds and rain like tears are dripping in separation from you, my dear Lord. We may not be at that level when we sing the Shikshashtakam, but we still sing that verse praying that may someday that mood come into my heart. What to speak of that? Third verse, Trinadapi Sunichena itself, we have read and heard and chanted that so many times, but so far away from it. To be more humble than a blade of grass, to tolerate more than a tree, ready to offer all respect to others, expect none in return, and continuously chant the holy name. These 5 principles are so difficult. It takes lifetimes. Takes lifetimes. But still we chant them, praying to Krishna. Yes, I am not there, but I want to be there someday. राधा कुंड तटे कलिंद तनया तीरे च वंशी वटे प्रेमोन्माद वशाद अशेष दशया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा गायन्तौ च कदा हरेर भुभवं भाराभिभूतौ मृता वंदे रूप सनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ हे राधे ब्रजदेवी के च ललिते हे नंदसून कुतः श्री गोवर्धन कल्प पाद पतले कालिंदी वने कुत घोषंता means to call out loudly. Iti sarvato vrajapure khedair, with great lamentation in the heart. Mahavivhalo, with great restlessness, agitated heart. The 6 Goswamis wept, "Oh Krishna, where are you? Oh Radharani, where are you?" We are doing parikrama so quickly, right? Vrindavan parikrama, Govardhan parikrama, Brajmandal parikrama. We walk around. But the Goswamis did not do that. They ran from one place to another to find Krishna. They would run on the banks of Yamuna to see, Krishna, are you here? Not here, then they would run to the foothills of Govardhan, Krishna, are you here? So this is how their parikrama was. Their parikrama was not an activity of the feet. It was the feet walking the activity of the heart. They were going around searching for Krishna. Oh Radharani, oh Lalite Sakhi, where are you? Sri Govardhana Kalpa Padapa, Tale, Kalindi Vanekuta, in the forests, on the banks of Yamuna, in the caves of Govardhan, under the Kalpavriksha trees in 12 forests, Dwadasha Kanan, Jahan Shavo Lila Koilo Sri Nandanandan. So to feel that separation and understand that this world, what we think is reality, is temporary. And that world is our actual family. What we think is ours is not ours, was never ours, will never be ours. And what we think is imaginary is not just reality, but it's the only reality identity of our existence. Shunyaitam Mahagoshtam Girindro Ajgarayate Vyagrtundayate Kundam Jivatura Hitasya me. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami felt so much separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that even the forests of Brindavan felt vacant for him without Sri Gaurhari. Shunyayitam Mahagoshtam. The Mahagoshta Sri Brindavan Dham became Shunyayitam, was vacant for him. And Girindro Ajgarayate. The peaks of Giriraj Govardhan looked like a coiled up Aghasur ready to eat him up. Why? Because when he looked at Govardhan, he shed so much tears. Das Goswami, remembering the pastimes of Krishna. How Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, remembering Govardhan, would run towards Chatak Parvat in Jagannath Puri, a sand dune, and he would embrace it, thinking that it is Govardhan. And how he gave a rock of Govardhan as a gift to Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, remembering the flood of all these pastimes, that Govardhan seemed to eat up the life of Raghunath Das Goswami. And Vyagrat Tundayate Kundam, when Raghunath Das Goswami looked at Radha Kund, the dimension of Radha Kund looked like the gaping open mouth of a tigress. We'll never hear description of Radha Kund like this. Radha Kund is always described as the nectar pond, ambrosial nectar, liquefied manifestation of Radha Krishna Prem. But now Raghunath Das Goswami felt, looking at Radha Kund, Tadati Surabhi Radha Kundameva Shrayome, that this Radha Kund is the Nitya Vihar Sthali of Radha and Krishna. This Radha Kund, Radha and Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered, hi, how will I live here without them? So that Kunda seemed like the mouth of a tigress. Giriraj seemed like the snake, Aghasur. And whole of Vrindavan looked vacant and null and void in separation from Krishna. Every Acharya you will see feeling, burning in fire of separation. Feeling this separation. Narottam Das Thakur? Pashane kutibo mata anale poshibo. Gauranga guner nidhi kotha gele pabo. Hey Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where did you go? If I can enter fire and attain you, I will do it right now, he's saying. If by breaking my head against the wall and bleeding to death, if I will get you, I will get you right now. I will do it right now. Very ghastly description of entering fire or breaking one's head by slamming it to the wall. But this is Narottam Das Thakur's madness in separation from Krishna. If by hitting the wall or entering fire or giving up my life air, if I can attain you, Krishna, I will do it right now. So these are very exalted moods, very, very exalted. But someday, by their mercy, this must come in the heart. Not for external manifestation, but for internal feeling. Internal feeling. So here you can see these are one line or one verse. Shukdev Goswami is throwing seeds. That seed contains a whole tree. Just by saying Kvachit Rudati, Vaikuntha Chinta Shabala Chetana, that one seed says in anxiety, Prahlad Maharaj would weep in separation from Krishna. That's like one pada, one part of the verse. But that's like a seed. The more you discuss it, it will manifest into a trunk, it will manifest into branches, it will manifest into leaves and flowers and fruits. There's so much nectar there. It's the mood of Prahlad's pangs of separation. Generally, we see Prahlad Maharaj tolerated. He was tossed into fire or thrown from the cliff, and that's why Narasimha appeared to him. Yes, this is external. Internally, the fire that Holika set Prahlad to, that fire temperature is nothing compared to the fire that was burning in the heart of Prahlad. How can that fire do anything to him? That fire was winter for Prahlad. His heart was on summer afternoon fire. Summer afternoon fire. In Vrindavan, there was one sadhu many, many years ago. His name was Ranwari Baba. Ranwari. Ranwari is a place. So he was called Ranwari Baba. Now this sadhu, Gaudiya Vaishnav sadhu, he lived in Vrindavan all his life. He did bhajan. And he was worshipping Radha and Krishna to attain Radharani's lotus feet. Very detached sadhu. His only possession in his life was chanting the name of Radha and Krishna and living in the dham. Somehow, One day when some visitors came to Vrindavan, he asked them, where did you come from? And they were glorifying Dwarka. They were saying, we came from Dwarka, we had darshan of Dwarkadish, we went to this temple, it is so wonderful. Baba, आप गए हो कभी, आपको जाना चाहिए. जीवन अंतकाल हुआ. Your life is about to come to an end, you're in your old age. Before death comes in, you should once go to Dwarka and have darshanam, very beautiful. So by their association, that thought came in Ranwari Baba's heart. So he said, okay, no difference. Dham, Vrindavan, Dwarka is the same. So he left Vrindavan after many, many years of Dhamvas and taking shelter of Radha and Krishna. Now Dwarka, he had darshan of Rukmini, Dwarkadish. He saw Krishna's grandeur, opulence, worship. And there they were offering different mudras, initiation mudras. So this Baba did not know. He just stood there and they put Shankha Chakra Gada Padma mudras. He who's worshipping in the mood of Vrindavan, now he went to Dwarka and somehow, just like in Vrindavan, you see visitors, they put Radhe Radhe little stencil here on the forehead. Have you seen that? Their kids always standing with Chandan there, Radhe Radhe. So like that, this Baba went and in Dwarka, they were putting Shankha Chakra Gada Padma mudras of Vaikuntha. So he finished his yatra in Dwarka and he came back to Vrindavan. Every time he would sit to chant, he would have darshan of Vrindavan, Nitya Vrindavan in his heart, the eternal pastimes of Vrindavan in his heart. He would chant Hare Krishna and have darshan. After he returned, that darshan stopped. So this Baba was thinking, why am I not able to see those pastimes in my heart? Then he continued to chant very deeply. No darshan. Radharani Shamsundar did not give any darshan in the heart. So Ranwari Baba became little restless. In the dream, Radharani appeared, and with so much anger, although Radharani is so kind, she's extremely possessive of those who take shelter of her lotus feet. So Radharani, in her dream, in Ranwari Baba's dream, she appeared and she said, you went to Rukmini, you went to Dwaraka, now you become her dasi. Don't look at me ever. Leave me, do bhajan, go live in Dwaraka, put mudras all over your body, and you surrender to Dwarkadish. You surrender to Rukmini Dwarkadish. No need to be my dasi. You go. So Ranwari Baba woke up from his sleep and he started weeping. He said, Radharani, please don't do this to me. And it is hard to believe Radharani never again gave darshan to Ranwari Baba. Never again. In his heart. He wept and wept and wept and wept and wept all his life. And it was such weeping that tears won't come out of his eyes. Radharani somehow punished him to such an extent that I will not give you darshan, I will make you cry, and no tears will come from your eyes. That is even more difficult. Now, if tears are coming, at least there is some pacification for the heart. There is some way to pacify the heart. But if it's dry crying, oh, it's too much. That's the type of dukkha even enemies should not get. But Radharani is so possessive of somebody who's lived in the Dham and worshipped her all their life. Why did you go to Dwaraka? Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Dwaraka and gave so much pain to the Brajbasis, and now you take shelter of my lotus feet and now you're becoming Dasi of Rukmini in Dwaraka. No, chale jao. Now you go to Dwaraka. It is described that Ranwari Baba cried and cried and cried, and day and night, no sleep, no eating. He went on fast unto death. Radharani, please give me darshan. Krishna, please give me darshan. Extreme level of devotion and detachment. And one day, devotees headed by Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. So this katha that I am talking about of Ranwari Baba is during Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj's time. So at least 250 years old in Vrindavan. So Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj looked and told his servant Bihari Lal, I see fire there coming out of the bhajan kutir of Ranwari Baba. Something is wrong. I see smoke. So by the time Bihari Lal went there, Ranwari Baba was sitting and there was fire up to the neck. Only his face was up there and his whole body was burning. And Bihari Lal asked Ranwari Baba, Babaji, what is this? Where did this fire come from? And Ranwari Baba, with tears, he said, from my heart. It is the fire that I'm not able to tolerate, being separated from the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. It is not the external fire. The internal fire of separation came out and engulfed him, and he left his body in that fire to attain Radha and Krishna. To increase the speed of spiritual progress, Radharani increased the temperature, and the inner separation fire came out and engulfed him. Yes, it may seem to be a very sad story, but he's considered to be a great symbol, a great epitome of spiritual separation, fire and separate, fire, burning in separation. How can external fire or throwing Prahlad from top of a cliff or throwing him into an ocean? He's the struggle that he is into in separation from Bhagwan is million times more than the struggle Hiranyakashipu is trying to put him through. Hiranyakashipu is trying to put Prahlad through the stampede of mad elephants or a pit of poisonous snakes. What can these elephants and snakes do? They will destroy the body, but Prahlad will take another body and continue to cry and burn. So the inner separation for a devotee is very, very high. So when you see this standard and we compare ourselves, हमने स्कूल जाने का यूनिफॉर्म तक नहीं पहना अब तक. Forget about graduating. We have not even worn the uniform to go to the school of bhakti. We don't even know where our uniform is. That is our situation. We have to first find our uniform. And what is that uniform? Vacho vegam manasa krodha jiva udara upastha atyahara prayasa prajalpaniyamagra utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat karma pravartana atyahara prayasa dadati pratigruhnati. First four verses, they are like the uniform. And then from the fifth verse of Upadeshamrit, you will see bhakti begins. Till then, you will see the first four verses, even Mayavadi sannyasis follow. They are also having control on tongue. They also don't over collect. They are also very enthusiastic and they also share secrets with one another. Dadati pratigruhnati. So first four are like the uniform to get to the school of bhakti. So this is the standard. So when Prahlad Maharaj is Kwachit Rudati Vaikunta Chinta Shabala Chetana, in ecstatic separation and madness from Bhagwan, he's weeping. Then Bhagwan comes. Why? Because he's Sudha Sudhara Madhuram Pade Pade Dine Dine Chandana Chandra Shitale Yasho Yashodatana Yasya Giyate. Krishna is colder. His body is more soothing than millions and millions of sandalwood trees, millions and millions of moonbeams. Chandanam Shitalam Loke Chandana Tapi Chandrama Chandana Chandayor Madhye Shitala Sadhu Sangati. More colder than Chandan and Chandrama, sandalwood and moonbeams, is the association of a sadhu. Because when sadhu speaks, the fire of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya is completely extinguished in the heart. But where does the sadhu get that Shitalta? Nirvapayam Parama Shitalam Ashrayami. He has held the heart of Radha and Krishna in his heart. He has held the lotus feet, their palms, their mercy, their form, their names in his heart. They're completely rejuvenating. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Sushitala. So it's quite breathtaking that a Vaishnav burns in separation, but at the same time, he's completely soothed and relaxed and rejuvenated by the moonbeams of the shade of the lotus feet of his Ishtadev. Both at the same time. There is fire also burning and extreme moonbeams. Sri Sanatan Goswami Pad has described in Brihad Bhagavatamrita that when you touch an ice cube, there's a big ice box, a big ice block. It's very cold. But when you touch the surface, sometimes you can find little blister. You can find little blister on the skin by touching something cold. He mentions, Sri Sanatan Goswami Pad, that there is no heat. It's completely cold, but it's so cold that it causes blister. So for a Vaishnava, it's like that. His body, his heart is a block of ice-like cold, ecstatic joy in remembering Krishna. So much joy. And externally, there may be crying. That's like the blister. There is no heat. We are contradicting our own class, but both coexist. There is extreme heat of separation, but there's extreme joy in meeting Krishna. Remembering Krishna, extreme joy. Forgetting Krishna, pain. But remembering Krishna and not getting him, bigger pain. But remembering Krishna and attaining Krishna, extreme joy. And all of this continue. A Vaishnav, pure Vaishnav remembers Krishna, so he's ecstatic. But at the same time, he doesn't find Krishna in real life, so extreme pain. But when Krishna now appears, then extreme joy. Then when Krishna leaves, extreme pain. And when that Vaishnava is in this world in sadhak avastha, then remembering Krishna, extreme joy, and forgetfulness of Krishna, extreme pain. So he goes through so many moods, not mood swings of a mental patient, but a transcendental mood swings of transcendental emotions. So Srila Sanatana Goswami Pad says, just like that ice cube is completely cold, a Vaishnava is completely ecstatic and joyful. But externally, there are blisters. There is some heat in the form of tears, in the form of weeping, in the form of crying. So, although there is pain, but there's so much more joy in remembering Krishna. So, this is Visha Amrita Ekatra Milan. It is the meeting of extreme nectar and extreme poison. Sri Rupa Goswami Pada said, the joy of remembering Krishna and meeting Krishna, that nectar puts to shame the nectar that is found in Chandralok, Somaras. The nectar that is found on the moon is completely extinguished. It is tiraskrit, it is nindita, it is rebuked, it is eclipsed by the nectar that is found in the heart in remembering and attaining the mercy of the darshan of Krishna. And at the same time, feeling separation from Krishna, it is such a great poison that it puts to shame the poison of the snake. It puts to shame the poison of the snake. Or you can say the nectar of meeting Krishna puts to shame the nectar that is found in the churning of the milk ocean. And separation from Krishna is such a poison, it puts to shame the poison that even Lord Shiva drank from the churning of the milk ocean. So Visha Amrita Ekatra Milan. So therefore you can see in the same verse, now the third line, Kochit Hasati, Tachinta Ladha. And he would sometimes smile and laugh in remembering, in the joy of remembering Krishna, and Udgayati, and sometimes loudly with arms raised, Prahlada Maharaj would sing. Somebody may think, how can somebody cry, be anxious, and then laugh with arms raised? Today's discussion, we discussed all of these different facets of this one verse. And Shukdev Goswami himself, he has pravesh into these moods. He has entrance into these deeper moods. Therefore, he is able to share them. You see, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been described, Prabhu prema beshe koren gana nartan, Kabu bhava beshe rasa lila anukaran. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes, in this mood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes prema beshe koreno gana nartan. Sometimes Mahaprabhu would sing remembering Krishna, sometimes dance remembering Krishna, and Kabu bhava beshe, and sometimes in ecstatic love, rasa lila anukaran. He himself would dance in the rasa lila. Sometimes imagining him to be Krishna, remembering Krishna, remembering Krishna, remembering Krishna, remembering Krishna. He would identify himself with Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes stand in a threefold bending form. Can you imagine? Radharani is in so much transcendental separation and madness in Krishna leaving Vrindavan that she can forget him. And in not being able to forget him by remembering Krishna so dearly. Krishna is in Mathura, but Radharani is standing in a threefold bending form with no flute, but flute-like position in her hand, the flute to her lips. And now Krishna in Mathura and Dwarka takes this mood of Radharani and comes down as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna becomes Radha who is imitating Krishna because of oneness in separation from Krishna. Wow. Wow. Shachi Nandan Gaur Hari ki jai. How breathtaking Gaudiya Siddhanta. So Krishna is feeling the emotions that Radharani is feeling in separation from Krishna. But in separation, generally you feel in this world, in separation from someone, you feel distance from that person. But in that world, because Krishna is in the heart of everyone, when you feel separation from him, he is reciprocating from within. So you don't feel physical separation from the person you're separated from, which is Krishna. In this world, when you lose somebody, you miss that person, but that person doesn't miss you because he's gone to the next location, next birth, or next destination. But in this world also, when you remember Krishna, you are feeling separation from Krishna, separation, but that person whom you're missing, Krishna, he is in your heart reciprocating. So that reciprocation bridges the gap. And there is no more separation to such an extent that in the separation from Krishna, Radharani feels she is Krishna. Extreme oneness in separation. And she stands. Sometimes she has a peacock feather on her head, and she is walking like Krishna and glancing at the gopis like Krishna. It is Radharani, and she doesn't know she is behaving like Krishna. And that mood of Radharani, Krishna takes over as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu is standing. Wow. Wow. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would say that one should never put peacock feather to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come in this world to forget that he is Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada would say that we can put peacock feather on Krishna. So when Sripad Aindra Prabhu was asked, he reconciled that yes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and therefore can have a peacock feather. But at the same time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radharani, therefore cannot have a peacock feather, is not Krishna. But if you take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be that Radharani who is mimicking the mood of Krishna in oneness, in feeling separation, then Radharani also has a peacock feather thinking that she is Krishna. And when Mahaprabhu takes that mood, then with a peacock feather, no problem. So deep, so nice. So Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Prabhu prema veshe koren gana nartan, Kabhu bhava veshe rasa lila anukaran. Sometimes he would sing, sometimes he would dance, sometimes in bhava vesh, he would dance the Rasa Lila himself. In Krishna Lila, he is dancing Rasa Lila in two forms. Ekam Jyotir Dvida Abhut Radha Madhava Rupakam. The Rigved describes that one eternal reality has become two as Radha Krishna. So in Rasa Lila, Radha Krishna dance. They dance in the center, and outside the Sakhis dance. Outside the Sakhis dance. But in Gaura Lila, Radha and Krishna have become one. So now Mahaprabhu is doing Leela Anukaran. And sometimes Kabhu Bhava Unmade Prabhu Iti Uti Dhai. And sometimes when that love would reach the highest extent, Mahaprabhu would run helter skelter. Now it's interesting. It's interesting. Mahaprabhu is Radharani, feeling separation from Krishna. In feeling separation from Krishna, Radharani becomes like Krishna. So Mahaprabhu becomes like Krishna. And now when he's convinced he's Krishna, he's running around searching for Radharani. Kabhu bhava unmade prabhu iti uti dhai. So this is called Prem Vilas Vivarth. Prem Vilas Vivarth means when everything starts moving opposite in ecstatic madness, in transcendental madness. Krishna is with Radharani, Radharani is with Krishna. And when they are separated, they are feeling the dukkha of separation. And at the same time, in remembering each other in their separation, they feel the presence of one another. So they are feeling union in that separation. But sometimes in meeting, they are feeling joy in meeting, and at the same time, they feel very soon Krishna will leave me. So there is what is called as bhavi viraha, or separation in meeting. And there is prema vaichitya, where Radharani is convinced that Krishna has left me while Krishna is actually there. So there is meeting, there is separation, then there is meeting in separation, and then there's separation in meeting. And now, interestingly, things also go backwards. In separation and in meeting, Radha and Krishna's roles get switched. Because Krishna is remembering Radharani, Radharani is remembering Krishna. They think they are the opposites. So Krishna becomes Radha, Radharani becomes Krishna, and now they start remembering each other. So it's Krishna as Radha remembering Krishna, and Radharani as Krishna remembering Radharani. And this is one thing inside the another, inside the other, one bubble inside the other. So Gaura Lila and Krishna Lila go hand in hand. Sriman Mahaprabhu is the greatest murti of this Prem Vilas Vivarth, of this reverse transcendental rasic paradox, where Radharani and Krishna have become one in one form as Gaur Mahaprabhu. Radharani's mood Krishna takes has become Mahaprabhu, And then Radharani in that mood is becoming Krishna in separation. And therefore she plays the flute. So Mahaprabhu taking that mood, he plays the flute. Now he's convinced he's Krishna and he's running to find where Radharani is. Now calling out to Radharani, he's convinced now he's Radhe. He's Radharani. And now Radharani will call out to Krishna, oh Krishna, where are you? So nobody can say what is happening. Nobody can say. Is it Radharani who has become Krishna calling out to Radharani? Or is it Krishna who has become Radha calling out to Krishna? Or is it Krishna who has become Radharani calling out to Krishna, now becoming Krishna calling out to Radharani and becoming Radharani? It goes on. One bubble inside another, inside another. Very, very difficult to understand. Therefore, Kabo bhava unmade prabhu iti utidhai. Sometimes Sriman Mahaprabhu in separation would run here and there. And bhume pade kabu murcha kabu gadi jai. And sometimes he would fall to the ground, roll in that ground, weep, and body would be drenched with dust, sweat, and tears. It is described, Ei mote Mahaprabhu Nila chale vaishe. In this way, Mahaprabhu lived in Jagannath Puri for 18 long years, feeling separation from Krishna. Ratri dine Krishna biched arnava bhase. Day and night he floated and drowned in the ocean of separation from Krishna. Somebody may think, where did we go? How did we go to Chaitanya Charitamrit? How did we go to Gaur Leela? Well, this one verse that we covered today, text 39 of 7:4:39, Kwachid rudati vaikuntha chinta shabala chetana, Kwachid hasati tachinta lada udgayati Kwachid. So Prahlad Maharaj, if his mood is so exalted, and he's such an advanced Vaishnav, we can't even imagine Radharani's mood as Sriman Mahaprabhu. So therefore, in this way, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrit, they coexist. The principles of Bhagavatam, the teachings of Bhagavatam are completely found in Gaur Leela. And in Gaur Leela, they are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So again, just like Radha Krishna and Mahaprabhu, they move from one into the other. Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Krishna Leela and Gaur Leela, they also move one inside the other. Krishna leaves Vrindavan here, and Brajbasis are feeling separation in the Bhagavatam. And the expression of that separation is seen in Chaitanya Charitamrit. And in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Mahaprabhu, when he's in that mood, Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar are singing verses from this Srimad Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu in Gaura Leela is discussing this Srimad Bhagavatam with Gadadhar Pandit. Mahaprabhu, he listens, Tava Kathamrita Shloka Rajaje Padila, Uti Prema Veshe Prabhu Alingana Kaila. He's hearing Maharaj Prataparudra sing verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Srimad Bhagavatam is saying Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam. So in this way, Bhagavatam glorifies Srimad Mahaprabhu. And Srimad Mahaprabhu has made Srimad Bhagavatam his life and soul. So we'll pause here. We took one verse on the interesting mysteries of Sri Prahlad Maharaj's moods of union and separation in bhakti. So now we can take some questions. We'll pause the class. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.